Morning, everybody. I wanted to give you a warm welcome to today's call. Appreciate everybody taking time to join us today. And also wanted to welcome Andrew Kostus to the call as well from Americo. Today is really going to be an action-packed call. We're going to cover all the benefits of working with Americo with their final expense and life products as well. So we're excited to have everybody join us. If you have any questions during today's call, please put your questions into the chat box, and at the end of the call, we'll go through the questions at the end to answer anything that you may have and make sure everything goes well. So with that, I want to turn the call over to Andrew Kostus. Andrew, thanks for joining us today. I know this is going to be a fun call, so get her started for us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the invitation, and good morning, everyone. As Brad said, my name is Andrew Kostus. I'm one of the account executives here at Americo, and I'm sure I've had a chance to meet some of you, but maybe for some of you that I haven't had a chance to meet, I look forward to the opportunity of working with you here in the very near future. So what I want to do today on this call is I want to cover a couple different things. Number one, I want to cover a little bit about who Americo is. So maybe for some of you that are relatively new to Americo or have heard the name but want to know a little more about us, I'll go through a little bit of the history of Americo. And then from there, I want to pivot on to a couple of our products, specifically our final expense product and our Eagle Premier Series, and really talk a little bit about the product, but a lot about the process, because in today's day and age, it seems like the process, especially with the current environment, it's so important to make sure you have multiple ways to be able to reach clients and multiple ways to be able to interact with clients, and be able to have clients sign your application. So we're going to cover that piece for you, and then at the end, we're also going to talk about our simplified issue life business, so our term series. You say, well, man, how does final expense and term tie together? Well, there's a couple ways, and we'll talk about that. Some of it's from a referral standpoint, and some of it is we actually have a product that merges our term product and also our whole life product together. So we'll touch on that here at the end. But again, as you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box, and I'll try to grab some of them as we go, and we can certainly follow up at the end as well. So again, we talked about today's topics, the Americo Advantage. Why use Americo? What makes Americo different than other companies out there? You know, you guys represent a lot of great companies, and what makes Americo unique, or what makes us different? And we're going to talk a little bit about how we do risk assessments, how we do it a little bit differently maybe than some of our competitors. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to dive into the Eagle Premier Series and also our HMS products as well. So the Americo Advantage, who are we? You can see on your screen there, that's actually a picture of our office in Kansas City. Interestingly enough, you don't see any cars on the street because that's what it looks like today. Everybody's working remote here in Kansas City for the next couple of weeks. But we're A-rated with AM Best, and we're one of the largest privately owned insurance companies. So this is a big deal to us because of the fact that if you're A-rated, you're privately owned. The Americo group of companies has been in business over 100 years. So when you add all that together, the one reason that I really like to point that out is everybody on this call knows that when you go out and you serve clients and you provide that valuable protection of life insurance, you want to make sure that you're dealing with a company that's going to be there for that client when the client needs them the most. And so the Americo group of companies has been in business over 100 years. Again, we're A-rated with AM Best. We're one of the largest privately owned. Depending on how you look at it, we may be the largest privately owned. Again, all located in Kansas City. You'll notice we talk about being competitive on products and processes. So one of the things we found, and we'll touch on this in the final expense space, is there's a lot of great products out there. So really what differentiates one from another, or one carrier from another, is the process. The question is, how do you get applications submitted, and how do you get them approved quickly, and how do you move on to the next sale? So we're going to touch on that piece, and then you'll see the last one there, first carrier with an instant decision. And we're going to hang out on this slide here coming up here in just a moment, and I'll talk about our instant decision platform, talk about how it works, kind of some of the ins and outs of all of it. But again, that's the Americo Advantage. So when you sit down and you're talking with a client, just keep in mind that you're representing a company that again has been in business over 100 years, and wants to have a chance to earn your business and earn your client's business as well. So Americo risk assessments. This is a little bit different than maybe some of the carriers that you're used to working with. There's a lot of carriers out there that encourage you to go ahead and reach out and call them. And you call them and you wait on hold for maybe 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, depending on how long it is. And then you speak with someone and you say, hey, I'm sitting here with Miss Jones, and it looks like she has these 2 or 3 health conditions, or more importantly, here's a couple prescriptions she's taken. Would you accept that risk? And then they look at it and say, well, based on this, I think we would, or maybe we would, or yes, I think we can do this. And then you hang up the call and then you start the application process. That's how it works with a lot of carriers. One of the things we found from an Americo standpoint is we thought that was a little redundant. We wanted to make our process as streamlined as we can. So one of the things that we've done is we actually run prescription check in our eApplication process before we ask a health question. So imagine you sit down with a client and you fill out the eApp, and within the first 3 minutes, and the first 3 minutes of the eApp are just basic information about the client, their name, their date of birth, where they live, how much coverage do they want, those types of basic questions. And then you get to the part where we can run prescription check right away. And the actual running a prescription check takes about 20 seconds. But the reason this is so important is it allows you to have complete control of the sale. So again, imagine you're sitting down with a client and you're filling out an eApplication, or even more importantly, in today's age, you're talking to the client on the phone and you're filling out the eApplication. And you're able to run prescription check early on before you ask the health question. And that's the way Americo views risk assessment. So again, we're not a company that's going to have you call in and make you wait on hold and then kind of give you an answer. We're going to give you a true thumbs up or thumbs down on our risk assessment, on our prescription check prior to asking a health question. And again, what that does is that allows you the opportunity when you walk into a home. We've had so many agents that have been so successful with Americo because they lead with us. And what we mean by that is if you walk into a home and you lead with Americo and you run prescription check in that first 3 minutes, you know right away if the client's going to get approved. And if the answer is yes, awesome. Go ahead and wrap up the rest of the application and you're good to go. But let's say on the off chance we can't approve every client. Well, the good news is you're still sitting there with the client, whether it's face-to-face or whether you're talking to them on the phone, and you can pivot to another product. So again, it just gives you that flexibility and opportunity to service your clients' needs as best you can. So a little bit about our process as well. You'll see best eApp in the industry. That sounds like a pretty bold statement. We can say that confidently because we were the first ones to come out with an eApp, and quite frankly, I think we're still the best. You see there's 2 options there for the eApplication. The first one is tablet signing. So if you're sitting face to face with a client, you can just have the client sign your tablet, your laptop, your iPad, your whatever device you have. The only thing we ask is don't use your actual phone because the screen is a little bit too small. We want to make sure that the clients can understand everything. But other than that, you can go ahead and have them sign right there and you're good to go. But let's say in this day and age where a lot of people are saying, hey, I want the coverage and I want to talk about life insurance, but maybe it's not the most appropriate for you to come to my house right now. So what we are able to do is through our email signature, through our eApplication. The eApplication is exactly the same. You fill out the first couple screens, but instead of having the client sign a tablet when you're face-to-face, what the system does is it pushes an email out. The client gets the email instantaneously. They go in, sign it, we run prescription check, and you're off and running. It's a very seamless process. One of the things I will tell you I just got off a call earlier this morning, and in the last 2 weeks, our email signature process is up about 33% over where it was before. So why is that important? Because that means people are using it. That means it works. We're not a company that had to develop this last minute because of what's going on right now in the culture. This has been available since day one, so it's been tried and true. It's a very tested process. Again, 2 ways to sign. If you're face-to-face, you'd sign with tablet signing. And if you're not face-to-face, you can use our email signature. We've talked about prescription check, getting checked very early on. The third one there is a big one for us. No follow-up phone interviews. When you use our eApplication, it's a standalone eApplication. So what do we mean by that? What we mean by that is that when you fill out our eApp, you're done. So we'll give you an instant decision, yes or no, and you're done. What that doesn't mean is we don't ask you to wait on hold and call us after the fact. We think that's a little bit redundant when we ask you as an agent to go out and write our products and then turn around and we call your client a day later or an hour later, or you wait on hold for us to talk to your client to ask the same health questions that you just asked the client. We think that's a little redundant. So from our standpoint, our eApp is a standalone eApp. The real value in that is what that means is that when you're open for business, we're open for business. And here's what we mean by that. This last weekend, we wrote over 700 applications through our eApplication over the weekend. So why is that important? Because Americo wasn't open Saturday and Sunday, but our eApp was open, and agents knew that, and they were using our eApp every day. So if you're writing business early in the morning, you're writing business late at night, you're writing business on the weekend, just know that you don't have to worry about Americo being open, our open hours, in order for our eApp to work. Very, very slick process. Again, you get immediate coverage for your clients, which is so important. When you can walk out of a house, when you can walk into a home or jump on the phone with a client and sell a client a policy, and you walk out of the house and you know that client's covered, that's pretty powerful, because what that means is you don't have to fax something into the home office and then call the client 3 days later and say, hey, I'm still waiting to see. You hear nowadays some of the lag times with different processes. With us, you're still going to get that instant decision right there. So how does it work? So the first thing you'll see here is you'll start the eApp, and you'll notice to the right of that it says sc.americo.com. That's S as in Sam, C as in Charlie, .americo.com. One of the things you'll notice is we're not in the App Store. So we're not a company that if you go to your app, go to your iPhone or your tablet and you look for us in the App Store, you're not going to see the Americo logo. So it's very important to make sure you go ahead and bookmark sc.americo.com. Again, that's how you start the eApp. So you'll notice within 5 minutes, you get an instant decision. And what does that mean? We give you a decision, a prescription check right there. And everybody in the simplified issue space of final expense knows the number one qualifier or disqualifier in the final expense space is going to be prescription check, which is why we run it up front for you. So you pass prescription check, you go ask the health questions and finish up the policy itself. So the whole application process takes about 15 minutes start to finish. And let's say you finish up the health questions, you grab the banking and beneficiary information, and you're done. The great news is that client's covered right there. And then you walk out, and if it's sold before 2 o'clock Central Time, Americo will mail the policy the same day. That's really important. It sounds like a very small administrative thing, but we think it's really important because we know everybody on this call, what you all do best is selling products. And so what we want to do is we want to give you the opportunity to be able to move on to the next sale. What we don't want is we don't want you to have to be the go-between between the client and the carrier when a client's calling you saying, hey, I bought a policy from you 3 weeks ago and I haven't heard anything from the company. Can you follow up with them? We want to take all that away from you and make that simple so that we take control of that. We send the policy out very quickly so the client has something tangible that they're holding, which is great from a referral standpoint too, because you can turn around and you can call the client a couple days later and say, hey, Ms. Jones, did you get your policy in the mail? Yeah, it did. Does everything look right? It does. I tell you, Ms. Jones, now that you've had a chance to look at this, is there anybody else that you can think of that would be a good, that you would like me to talk to you about this coverage to get the same kind of coverage in place that you have? It just creates more opportunities and more activity for you as the agent. So the last piece you'll see there is paying commissions. So the great thing about this process is it's duplicatable. And what we mean by that is it's the same process every time. So whether you're running it at 8 in the morning, whether you're running at 8 at night, you're running on the weekends, you're running in the middle of the day, this is the process that works. Again, you start the eApp, you get the instant decision right there. And again, let's say on the off chance every now and again, the answer may be no. Like we may not be able to approve every single policy. Well, the good news is you'll notice on that cycle, it stops right there at the instant decision, and you're able to pivot and pull out another carrier or say, hey, I tell you what, based on this, I represent a lot of great companies, as I mentioned to you, Ms. Jones, in the beginning. I thought Americo would be a great fit, but I tell you what, let's pivot to this company here and go ahead and wrap up the sale. But you are still in complete control of the sale, and you never lost the opportunity to close the deal with the client. So a little bit about our Eagle Premier Series. Excuse me. The first one you'll see is face-to-face or over the phone. As we've talked about before, face-to-face, we still offer face-to-face sales here at Americo. All we ask is that obviously you practice social distancing and make sure that both yourself and the client are comfortable with that process. But let's say on the off chance the client says, hey, I really want the coverage, but right now may not be the best time to come to my house. Well, I tell you what, again, you can do it over the phone with our email signature process, and I'll follow up with at the end of this call. I'll send over a recording of how to do the email signature. We actually have a video that's about 10 minutes long that walks through exactly how to do the email signature process for you, and we also have a couple things online I'll mention as well. So you'll notice we have 2 products, Level and Guaranteed. So Level is going to be that day one coverage. So day one coverage, you're good to go. It's Level. The second one is Guaranteed Issue. So I will tell you, this sounds crazy from a sales standpoint, but if they're not approved at level and it goes to guaranteed, I would say go ahead and pull out one of your great guaranteed issue companies and pivot to that product. So we offer it, but I can tell you, you're going to find a more competitive product in the true GI space. But again, we don't have a graded benefit. So we're not a company that goes from level to graded to guaranteed. And the reason being is because we have such a high approval rate at level, we don't really need a guaranteed or a graded policy in between. So just level or guaranteed. You notice issue ages, you got 50 to 85 for non-smoker and 50 to 80 for smoker. And we'll touch on some of the great things we have going on with the smokers here in just a moment as well. You'll notice the minimum face amount is $2,000, maximum is $30,000. Unless you're in Washington and the minimum face amount is $5,000. I'm not 100% sure why Washington's different, but it's $5,000 as a minimum. One of the things that we have included in our Eagle Premier Series is going to be our accidental death benefit. So for all you veterans out there that have been writing final expense for a while, you also know that if you add accidental death benefit to a policy, generally speaking, you're probably going to add $1, $2, maybe $3 more a month, depending on how the policy, depending on the age of the client and the value of the policy. So we include that at no additional cost. Again, that's a great selling point when you're talking to a client, because when the client says, well, okay, I like what I heard about Americo, but tell me one more time, does it have any other benefits to it? You can talk about the accidental death benefit, and God forbid, if they were to pass away of an accident, then Americo would double the death benefit for them. So they can pay for a $10,000 policy, and God forbid, if they pass away of an accident, it would be $20,000. So you'll notice that grandchild rider available. So you can also add grandchild riders on this policy. We think it's a great opportunity to do that because it helps with persistency. So how it works for us is it's not an umbrella policy. So each grandchild rider is its own separate entity. So in other words, if a client has 3 grandchildren, you can have 3 different riders on there for 3 grandchildren. The baseline of it is up to $5,000 in coverage, and it adds $1 in premium per month. So in other words, if you write a $30 policy on a client and the client says, hey, I want to add my 3 grandchildren, each grandchild is going to get $5,000 in coverage, and the total amount being billed to the client every month is $33 instead of $30. Pretty simple process. Again, all can be done through our eApp. We don't ask for paper verification that they are indeed your grandchildren. We just ask a couple questions very quickly to make sure that we're getting the right information and we're off and running. The last thing we'll talk about here is day of week drafting. We think day of week drafting is really important, especially in the senior space. What this does is this allows you the opportunity to draft a certain day every month instead of a certain date, if that makes sense. So a lot of times clients say, I want to draft the 15th, or I want to draft the 3rd, or I want to draft the 5th. And that's awesome. We can do that. But some clients may say, you know what, I get my Social Security the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th Wednesday of every month, and it would be really helpful if I could draft on that particular day, even though that may be a different date every month. It's the same day. We say, absolutely, let's do it. So for us, again, a lot of flexibility in our eApp and how you can draft. So one of the things I wanted to touch on here before we go into the Quit Smoking Advantage, when you talk about our Eagle Premier Series, there's no paper application for it. So I want to be clear on that. It's an eApp only process. There is a way, and I'll touch on it here in a minute, that you can sell with a 3-way call with Americo, and I'll give you the phone number for that as well. But before we pivot to that, I wanted to take a minute and talk about our Eagle Premier Series as it relates to smoking. Everybody on this call who has ever walked into a home and the client's smoking, or the client says that they maybe just recently quit and you have to write them up an application, one of the things that you'll find is that those premiums can be 15, 20, 25, even 30% higher than non-smokers. So one of the things we wanted to do in an effort to maybe help some people think about quitting smoking or help the individuals that recently quit was we came out with what we call our Quit Smoking Advantage. What it is for us is we allow you the opportunity to offer your client non-smoker rates for 3 policy years. So if they're a smoker, they can get non-smoker rates for 3 policy years. So if you think about that, you walk into a home and you notice that the client's a smoker, or they tell you, I'll give you a story here. This happened just earlier this week. I had an agent call me and say, you know, we love the Quit Smoking Advantage program. And the story they described to me was they walked into a home and the client had just quit smoking. Their doctor had told them, you have to quit smoking. And they had just quit 2 months earlier. And when they were looking at quotes and talking with different agents, one of the things that they found was that they were going to be required to put down the smoker on the application with other carriers because the application question read, in the last 12 months or last 24 months have you smoked? So even though they did all the hard work to quit smoking for a few months, they were going to have to still be put down as a smoker. Well, the good news with Americo, they were able to get non-smoker rates, and as long as they continue to not smoke, the policy is going to be off and running. So how does it work? You'll notice the first 3 years, you get non-smoker rates. In the fourth year, the default in the system is to keep the premium exactly the same and then adjust the death benefit. The other option that the client would have in the fourth year is to have the premiums go up somewhat, but keep the death benefit the same. But how it works in year 4 is Americo would reach out to the client and ask the client if they've quit smoking. If they have, fantastic. We would ask them to verify it with a simple saliva test, and they're off and running. But let's say on the off chance that somebody says, you know what, I really tried, and I really, really tried to kick the habit. I just couldn't quite do it. Then again, they have 2 options available here to either keep the premium amount the same or the face amount the same. So again, we don't do that till year 4. One of the things I will tell you though is we rolled this out in June of 2018, and you have a 3-year window in order to quit smoking for 1 consecutive year. But let's say that the day they sign up for the policy, we had a client that the day they signed up, they said, I'm done. They called us exactly a year later, which was June of 19, and said, hey, by the way, I've quit for a year. They verified it, and they're good to go. So you have a 3-year window to quit, but all we need is a 12-month window within that time frame to quit smoking. So again, but the key to this is when you're filling out the application, please check yes to smoker. So it is a health question, and they are a smoker, so it's appropriate to check yes to the smoking question, but just understand they're going to get non-smoker rates. So a couple websites and phone numbers that are important to kind of keep in mind as we go along. The first one is quote.americo.com. That's quote.americo.com. Again, what this does, this allows you to quote all of our products. Very linear, very easy to use on a tablet or on a phone. If you're bookmarking anything, I would say go ahead and bookmark that. Again, you're not going to find it in the App Store, but it's a good way to identify very quickly how to quote the products for Americo. The next thing you'll see is agentcafe.com, and we'll touch on this here towards the end, but that's a way to easily learn about all of our products without having to create a username and password and all that. We talked about sc.americo.com. That's our production site. You'll notice right below it is scdemo.americo.com. One of the things that we did when we first rolled out our eApplication, we had a tremendous amount of agents, and maybe some of you on this call are thinking the same thing, thinking to yourself, hey, I've done an eApp or 2 here or there, and I've been doing paper applications for a while now, and I don't know if I can just jump in and just do eApplications. So one of the things that we've done is we've created a demo site that mimics our production site. So what that means to you as the agent is you're able to go in and play with it, able to understand how it all navigates, how the screens move from one to the next. So you're able to get a full understanding of exactly how the eApplication works before you sit down with the client. It's just another way to make sure that you're comfortable. The next number you'll see there is 855-248-8327. That is our telesales number. So let's say you come across a couple clients and they want the coverage and you're working remote, and they say, you know what, I don't have any internet connectivity, or I don't have an email address. It doesn't happen as often as it used to, but every now and again that can still happen. So we do have a telesales line, and how that would work is you do a 3-way call. So I would call you, if I'm the agent, I would call you, and then we would 3-way call in Americo. Americo in turn would just take the application. So they're going to fill out the eApplication for you and give you that decision. The signature would just be a voice authorization. So they're open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and that's Central Time because we're in Kansas City. So again, if you want to do a telesales, you certainly can. The process runs very efficiently, but like I said, what we found is that a majority of agents would prefer to use the email signature just because of the fact that you're in complete control of the sale all the way through. And again, you see the sales support number, that's Americo's home number. Again, they're there to help you any step of the way. Anything that they can do to support you, they certainly want to do that. So to pivot very quickly here, from our HMS products, HMS for us is our simplified term, and the term HMS stands for Home Mortgage Series. So there's no mortgage required in order to have this product, but what this does is this gives you an opportunity to, when you're talking with clients that are maybe between 20 to 50 or 20 to 60 years old, and be able to have that same process we described where you fill out the eApplication, walk through the eApp all the way through. You can get an instant decision on our term series up to $250,000. So why is that important? You say, how in the world does that tie into final expense? Well, one of the reasons we think it ties in very nicely is when you walk in and you talk with a client and you give that client coverage on final expense, a lot of times everybody here knows that the best lead is a referral. So you ask the client, hey, do you have anyone you could talk to? And a lot of times they'll tell you, oh, go talk to my neighbor, or maybe go talk to this person, a couple doors down from me. But a lot of times what happens is everybody's so singularly focused on final expense, they forget to say, hey, do you have any children that I can talk to? Do you have anyone else that maybe isn't in the same age demographic? And this is a great opportunity for them to use our simplified term product. So you notice that there's a couple options there. It's HMS 100, and then it's 125 and 150. Without getting in all the specifics of it, the underwriting is exactly the same. So it's a simplified term product. So again, you're asking health questions, we're running MIB, and we're running prescription check, and we're giving you an instant decision. The only difference is the HMS 125 has a 25% accidental death benefit built in, and the HMS 150 has a 50% accidental death benefit built in. But again, very, very simplistic product. One of the things you'll notice there, and this is one of the reasons that this sells so well, is the cashback option. So imagine being able to write a term product with a client, getting an instant decision, and adding the cashback option rider on there. And what that cashback option rider does is that allows the client that at the end of the term period, if they are still in good standing with Americo as far as their premiums are current and everything else, we give them all their money back. So you think about that. I mean, you write a term policy, and let's say you write a 30-year term, and the client's 35, and by the time they're 65, we can be giving back $30,000 to $35,000 to the client just because they added the cashback option rider. So very, very strong rider to add on there. If you're in the term space or looking at the term space, we do a lot of different WebExes specifically on how to sell this, how to position this, and we'd love to talk with you about it. The other thing you'll notice is living benefits are included. So you have your critical, chronic, and terminal illness. Those riders are included at no additional cost. So when you add the whole package for the term, when you get an instant decision, you can add the cashback option. You have the living benefits included. Again, it's a very powerful tool. So one of the things that I wanted to touch on, though, was you say, well, how in the world did both of these really tie together? Well, we came out in, I think it was July of 2019 with our continuation project. And we looked at this for about a year and a half or 2 years, and people kept coming to us saying, hey, you guys do a great job in the whole life space, in the senior space, and you guys do a great job in the term space. But people kept coming to us, agents and agencies kept coming to us asking the question. They said, we're meeting with some clients, and the clients like the idea of term because they like the features of it with the living benefits and whatnot, but they don't like the fact that it ends. But when we pivot to a whole life product at 35, the clients are saying, hey, that's way too expensive. We're not interested in that. So do you guys have anything that maybe blends both of them together? And that's where we came up with our HMS continuation product. So what it does is it provides that permanent coverage for the client at an affordable rate. So again, it's called HMS continuation. And what it does, it provides a permanent coverage at an affordable rate. And here's how it works. So you would write an HMS continuation. Let's say you write a 30-year HMS continuation. Then it's $100,000 in coverage. At the end of that 30-year period, instead of the policy ending like it would on a term policy, the policy continues at 10% of the initial face amount and continues at the same premium with no additional underwriting needed. And I'll show you an example here in just a moment of how this would work. So you'd select the initial death benefit amount, either 15, 20, 25, or 30 years. And the client, so during the client's working years, they have that $100,000 in coverage or $200,000 in coverage. They have the living benefits built in. But then they get to age 65 or 60 or 70, whenever the term expires, and they still want to have coverage, but maybe some of their health has changed. Maybe it would be harder for them to get a true final expense policy or a true whole life policy at age 65 or 70. That's where this product is a great fit, because what this does, it continues into 10% of the face amount without having to go back through underwriting. So this is really for the clients that are looking for permanent coverage. You know, you're going to have some clients that want term coverage. That's great. You're going to have some clients that say, I don't care what the price is. I'm going to pay for whole life at 35. That's great. Then you're going to have clients say, I want permanent coverage, but I don't want to pay all the crazy prices for it. So as a quick example for you, here's an example here on the screen. You'll see a 35-year-old male for a 30-year, $100,000 policy. If you wrote just our HMS 125 policy, if you notice the premium amounts on the screen would show you that that's $39.81. But just for a couple dollars more, they would be covered for through the continuation with a $100,000 death benefit for 30 years and continuing at $10,000 death benefit from age 65 for $42. So it's about $2.50 difference. But the biggest news about that is if you ran a quote right now for a 65-year-old male for $10,000 in coverage, you're not going to get anywhere close to $42.28. So this gives you the opportunity that the client may pay $1 or $2 more during their working years, but it gives them that coverage and that confidence to know that, you know what, at the end of that term period, I don't need another $100,000 in coverage. I just need enough to make it by. And that's where that drops down to that 10% of the initial face amount. So again, that's called our HMS continuation product. We have several different training videos on that as well that I can make sure that I get out to everyone. So hey, we got another couple minutes here and then we'll wrap it up. One of the things I wanted to touch on here for just a moment is our Agent Cafe. If you haven't had a chance to check this out, I'd strongly encourage you to do so. We just recently upgraded it about maybe a month and a half ago. But one of the things that we've done is we've tried to make it easy to learn about Americo and learn about our products. So if you pull up agentcafe.com, you'll see a screen very similar to this. And you'll see sales tools on the left-hand side, microsites, and then contact us. The most important button in there is a microsite, because when you click on that microsite button, what that does is that's going to take you into a link that has a link to every one of our products. So instead of you having to go to Americo.com and try to navigate through to learn about our products, we created, in essence, a website for each one of our products. Again, makes it very simple for you to understand, very simple for you to use. And the goal of this is that you can learn at your own pace. So you may be somebody that says, you know what, I'll take a little bit of time at night and learn a little bit about the products, or I'll learn a little bit in the morning, or I'm going to take one weekend and learn it. The nice thing is you don't need Americo. We're certainly available to answer any questions for you. But if you're somebody that says, you know, I learned better by just flipping through it, the great news is none of these require a username or password. So if you're contracted with us, you already have a username and password, you're off and running. But let's say on the off chance some of you say, I'm checking out Americo for the first time, and I want to know if I want to get contracted or not. Well, if you want to learn more about a product, this is a very easy way to do it. The one key to this is keep in mind this is agent-facing, not consumer-facing. So there's some talk about our bonuses in there and things like that when you dive into the microsite. So always keep in mind this is a great resource for you to learn. It's not a resource you use at the kitchen table or when you're talking with a client to direct them to Americo. So the last thing we love to talk about is our bonus. For us, this makes it fun. We used to be a company. Americo historically has done a lot of different trips, and we've been all over the world, like a lot of different carriers you probably work with. But you know, one of the things we found, and I'll give you a personal story here to close this out, is I've been doing this job. I've been in Americo 19 years. And one of the toughest conversations that we ever had to have every year was to tell somebody that thank you so much for all the business you gave us, but you came up a little bit short on the trip. So they would give us 100,000 in business and we needed 115, or they gave us 112 and we needed 115. That was always the hardest conversation to have. And what we realized was we had a whole bunch of agents that were giving us a lot of great business, great quality business, and we weren't able to say thank you to them. We had to, in essence, say, hey, thank you so much for all you did, but we weren't able to take you on our trip. So what we did was we switched it up, and we do what we call our UFirst rewards, which is our bonus program. And you can see on the screen there the criteria and how it works, but I'll simplify it for you pretty easily. If you write 40,000 in production with us in a 6-month period of time, we'll with 70% persistency, which again, industry-wide, that should be the norm, if not even a little lower than the norm. And 70% of the time we get that first draft in, we'll pay you an 8% bonus. So it makes it really simple. And I don't know if any of you read through social media, but you see a lot of different people pushing out, I got a UFirst check, I got a bonus check. Well, that's all from Americo. And how it works is if you write 40,000, you'll notice the criteria there's December 1 through May 31st. So we actually have about 2 months left. We have April and May left now. But one of the things that you'll find is that we'll do it again June 1. So if you're somebody that on the call that's like, I already know a lot about Americo, I just wanted to learn a little more, keep pushing forward and getting the bonus. But for some of you that say, hey, I only have 2 months left, I don't know, I would strongly encourage you to go ahead and start taking a look at us and writing some policies with us. Because one of the things that you'll find is the more comfortable you get with us, then when June 1 rolls around, you're off and running. And one of the really cool things, and I'll end with this, is about our bonus is the minimum is $40,000 in paid production. So that's a minimum bonus check of $3,200. But there's no maximum. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by no maximum? That means that so long as you meet the criteria of at least 70% persistency and 70% of the time we get that first draft in, the sky's the limit. We actually paid out our last bonus check that we paid out, or the largest bonus check, I should say, that we paid out in the beginning of December was over $26,000. We paid over $26,000 to one agent to say thank you very much for the business. So the average bonus check we pay out is right around like the $4,200, $4,300 mark. Again, it's just a great way to for us to be able to say thank you. We had over north of 300 agents that we paid bonus checks to the beginning of December. We would love to hand out bonus checks to each and every one of you to say thank you for all your hard work. Again, this is just a great way for us as a company to be able to reach as many people as we can. So you'll notice one thing I failed to mention there is that with our UFirst rewards is if you're one of our top 5 agents, we pay you an additional bonus as well. So the gentleman that got the $26,000 and change bonus, he actually had his bonus was $21,000 and change, and he got an extra $5,000 on top of that, just to be able to, just from us saying thank you so much for being loyal to Americo and really pushing the Americo business. So I want to close with this. First off, I want to say thank you so much for your time. I understand your time is very valuable. I understand that you guys represent a lot of great carriers. We certainly want to compete for your business. We've never been a company that says we've expected business. We've always been a company that says we want to earn it. And we feel like we earn it every day by hopefully providing the best service we can for you, from the contracting process, through using our eApplication, through getting a bonus from us, through the service that your clients will get through our customer service area. So again, my name's Andrew Kostus. If I can help you in any way, I'll give you my email address here. It's Andrew, which is ANDREW .Kostus, and that's KOSTUS. So Andrew.Kostus @Americo.com. Again, you see the 800 number there. Our sales support team is fantastic. They're ready to help you any step of the way. But again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time for this call today. You did a great job as usual. I don't think I could recap it anything really. You did a wonderful job explaining the process and the product. I will say that Americo is one of our best relationships. We work with a lot of great carriers out there, and Americo is always at the top. They treat the agents exceptionally well, and they have on the back end amazing customer service for your clients. So not only do they treat you well, as Andrew covered today with everything that he went through, but they also do a great job with the clients as well. We do have a few questions I want to get to. If you can take those, Andrew, and then we'll kind of work through this. Yeah, I think you covered a number of them. You covered a number of them, but I want to just make sure we cover everybody's questions, make sure it's clear. So as far as face-to-face sales, we do have an option that you can do non-face-to-face. You want to touch on that real quick again?
Yep, absolutely. So obviously you can do face-to-face sales if you'd like. The non-face-to-face sales, and Brad, what I'll do is I'll send over the link to you. We have a link that walks through exactly how to use our eApplication from a remote signing standpoint. And what we mean by remote signing is using our email signatures. So we have it's about a 10 minute and 20-second video that was shot about 2 weeks ago to walk through exactly how to do that. So I'll send it over to you, Brad. You can send it out to the list of attendees.
Perfect. And then, you mentioned at the beginning of the call that you guys check the RX right at the beginning of the application process with the client. How is that handled? Is there a signature required, or what's the requirement to make that happen?
That's a great question. So there's a signature that's required. So whether you're doing, let's say if you're face to face, what you would do is you would just turn your laptop or a tablet around, and the client would sign the authorization right there, and we run it right there. If you're doing it remote, what happens is we email you out. An email would go out to the client. The client would sign the authorization, hit OK, and we run it. So the signing of the authorization is obviously very important from a client standpoint, but the actual running a prescription check takes about 15 or 20 seconds. So it's a very fast process, but yes, we do require signature. We obviously need to make sure we have the client's consent before we run anything medical for them.
Okay, perfect. And is there a option on the voice application part that they give voice authorization, or how's that part work with that?
Yep. So if you use our telesales number, what will happen is, so if I'm in Kansas City and Brad's in Nebraska, what we would do is I would call Brad, I would talk to him, and then we would three-way call in Americo. And what Americo would do at that point is fill out the same application that I as an agent have access to. So there's not any magic on the back end. It's just they're filling out the application, but instead of an email going out to the client, that call is on a recorded line. And so the client would then say, yes, I agree to the authorization of running prescription checks. And then at the end of the process, say, yes, I agree to taking the policy as well. So it would just be on a recorded line. So instead of a physical signature via email, it would just be a recorded voice authorization.
Okay, perfect. And you did mention that everything matches up with Social Security payment dates. So if I want the, second Tuesday or Wednesday or third or fourth, that all works as well, right?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, perfect. And then a couple state-specific questions, or one state-specific questions. In California, is there an accidental death benefit available?
Yes, there is.
All right, perfect. And the product you talked about, where we can go from the term to the whole life, that's a great feature. Yeah. That's magical for clients, and it works great for agents as well. The question on that is there any commissions paid when it transfers from term to whole life?
No, I do not. No, there's not. The commissions are paid on the term side of it, so we can get into the comp piece at a different discussion. But there's no additional commissions paid when it transfers over.
All right, perfect. So. All right. Well, that's all the questions I have so far. So thanks again, Andrew.
Awesome.
You did a great job as usual. You're an excellent resource for us. We appreciate the relationship, and I can guarantee all of you on the call today, if Americo's not in your bag right now and you add them, you won't be disappointed. They're a great company and a great partner of Premier. Thank you very much, everybody.